What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining. Hope you are having a good one as always. Today we are back to brick as we get Kraken on the 6th scale figure from Starship Troopers. Now, the only reason that I'm back to this instead of the light box is that this box is massive. It's a big one. Now this is from VTS Toys. It is the deluxe version of the Starship Force Team Leader figure. They do also make a standard version. The deluxe comes with a really cool base, which we will take a good look at in just a moment. I got this from 1/6 Outfitters. They are still pretty readily available. Both the deluxe and standard, although I think it's easier to find the deluxe at this point. So if it is something you're interested in, you might end up going the deluxe route. Alright, now if you are not familiar with Starship Troopers, it is one of my favorite sci-fi movies by the great Paul Verhoeven. He also did RoboCop and Total Recall, and a marvelous movie by the name of Showgirls, which you might be familiar with. But, holy cow. Alright. So I was honestly thinking this was going to have basically two smaller boxes inside of it. I was expecting, well, basically a box for the figure and then a box for the base, but that is not the case. It's kind of a clunker. So that's pretty awesome. That's a whole lot of box there. So let's go ahead and get this out of its hard candy shell. Get this guy some oxygen. Now, honestly, the way the box was taped up, and even the way this is taped, I am worried that this might have been opened and then returned. I suppose we will find out shortly. Seeing some rips in the plastic already. But not the end of the world. As long as everything's in there, I am a happy camper. And it's nothing that they've done before, so it's really tough to say. I was just kind of worried with the way the box was taped up, but we'll see how it looks once we get into here. Now, full disclosure, I am well aware that the head sculpt is terrible. If you're thinking about getting this, it really doesn't look like Casper Van Dien, so if you want a horribly movie-accurate one, you can kind of see on the box, you're going to end up wanting to get probably a second head sculpt. Now this is basically the whole reason for the deluxe. You get this really cool arachnid stand, which I was super happy about. And the deluxe is like an extra $60 or so. So it does cost a little bit more, but I think it is well worth it. Definitely a cool looking box. I would have liked if they officially got the license for it just so they could call it Starship Troopers instead of Starship Force, but not the end of the world by any means. Come on. There we go. Alright, now let's take a look. Now, one thing I immediately notice is the knife, which, very poor quality, managed to fall out of there. Not the end of the world. I'm hoping there's going to be some instructions, so it looks a little strange, but, oh, yeah, that's what these guys are going to be. Ta-da! So you will have to build the arachnid base, which, not too big of a deal, I don't think. But let's see if we can go ahead and pull some of this stuff out and take a gander. So this was the first thing I noticed, which is the knife. This is just garbage. I mean, I guess the blade looks cool, but I feel like they could have put a handle on it. Now, I think this is supposed to be one of the throwing knives that they use. So it might not actually have had any sort of real handle on it in the movie. I honestly don't recall. But it just looks unfinished. So that's a little depressing there. But again, this might genuinely be how they looked in the movie. If you remember, there's the scene where they throw it through the one guy's hand. You know, you can't press a button if you can't use your hand. You get that fun little combo. But yeah, I'm just very underwhelmed by that. Anyway, on to the next one. This is certainly cool. The actual rifle looks amazing. Now it is predominantly all plastic from what I can tell, although to be honest, that area in there almost looks like it could be metal. I would almost think it is. Certainly looks like it. Let's get the magazine. They did do the one I like to see where you get the bullet sculpted in there, so I'm happy about that. Definitely cool. I have it in backwards. Nope. So that's a little strange that there's some separation there. Let's see. Feel like there should be something. So you can see this kind of popping up. I feel like there should be something to hold that in place. I will gander at the instructions, because that seems... I mean, it'll just fall out. Which it's definitely not supposed to do. And I was thinking maybe I had it backwards, but I know the gun does not look like that. So very, very strange. I'll play around with that in a bit, because honestly, if this doesn't have a way of locking in, that's a pretty big flaw. As I often say, I drop things, so no surprise there. We'll take a closer look at the instructions in just a moment and see if I can get to the bottom of that, because that's kind of interesting. Now on to the figure himself. Surprised he only had plastic on one of his hands. That does seem a little bit strange, but now in fairness, the head sculpt's not as awful as I thought it looked, but definitely does not look like Casper at all. That'll be fun to get off. And we'll mess with that later. Now this is actually two pieces. You can unclip it right there, and then the bottom abdomen piece comes off. That way you can kind of separate it a little bit, and then you would buckle that onto the back there. I think in the standard figure, and I may be wrong about this, but I want to say in the standard figure you actually have to kind of assemble that. Now I know you can take a lot of his uniform off, which at some point I might do, because he actually has the Rico's Roughnecks tattoo under here. I don't know how accurate it is, and I'm probably not going to take the time now to derobe the man and check, but it is there, which is kind of cool. Now, as for actual mobility and such, it's pretty dang limited from what I can tell so far. Definitely restricted a bit just from the suit itself. But honestly, the joints in the body are really good, at least in the shoulders. Very, very stiff, which is nice. Pretty stellar wrist movement as well. The elbows are really stiff, which is why I haven't gotten to them yet. Alright, let's see what we can do here. To be honest, it almost feels like I'm going to break it if I try and bend the thing. Those are some stiff joints. So that's not a bad thing. I like them that way. There we go. Holy cow. That's impressive. It did some really good work on the actual uniform. They weathered it pretty well, which is nice. This, of course, would be his combat attire, so it should have some dirt and grime on it. So that I am quite impressed with. These pouches you can put his grenades in. I have seen a lot of people say it's a real pain to do, so we might give that a try just to see how it goes. And then these should hold his magazines, or at least should hold extra ones. I honestly don't know if he came with... Yeah, he's got 2 extra ones, so we can play around with that as well. It's kind of another thing where I've heard it's sort of a pain to do. And I believe up here is supposed to be the knife holster. Nope, knife goes down here. I'm dumb. Sometimes it takes me a bit. On for the legs. Relatively limited movement up there, but not too bad by any means. Definitely restrictive, but you can get more movement out of that than like Endgame Cap, Nebula, quite a few of the other figures that I have, to be honest. The boots look amazing. They do have a nice little split on them, so you can get a good ankle pivot there. But it actually looks really, really pretty seamless. I mean, obviously you can tell, especially dead on, but you know, depending on how you're posing them, they don't look too shabby at all. So I'm pretty impressed with that. I got some cool tire treads. Bam. You can stomp on stuff if you want. Yeah, overall, I'm relatively pleased in that regard. Again, I think the big issue is just this this head sculpt, which again, not terrible, just not Casper. There you go. I'm probably going to swap this out with something. I haven't decided what. I might use the extra Steve Rogers from Endgame Cap, or even the Rex head. I've also got a couple other fun ones that I was considering just body swapping this with Alita, girl, and making an Alita one, but who knows? I think it would be kind of cool to have an Alita Starship Trooper. I'm weird though, so. Overall, though, definitely impressed with the actual figure itself. Pretty good job with that. We can plop you back in the box. You get a ton of extra hands with them. Don't really need to go over them too closely, but we will take a look at one just so you can see. Pretty decent detailing on them. They are all gloved up to the best of my knowledge. And it looks like he's got a pretty good number of them. I see 5 in there. Also, of course, this helmet. Come here. There we go. Which I probably should have dealt with while I had you out. I'm assuming... Alright, so I'm not just going to squeeze it on there because I feel that's going to be a little ruthless. You probably will want to play with it a bit. I wonder if it's easiest to... I'm going to take a look at the good old instructions before I do much with that. Also, kind of surprised that it doesn't really have any way of clipping in there. I feel like that's going to look a little odd. I might be wrong. Oh, I see, it's a magnet. I'm stupid. Yeah, well, we've covered that before. I'm an idiot. So there's a little magnet in there. That just kind of holds it into place. Derp. You do also get a mini nuke for him, which is pretty fun. Now the fin should pull right off like so. I want to say you'll be able to put this in the barrel of his gun. Nope. And nope. So they kind of slightly missed a mark on that. Would have been a cool little way to do it. And that's alright. Then we'll take a quick look at one of the grenades, and then we'll take a gander at the little base. Surprised these don't have actual handles to them. You would think that they would. It's been a while, though. They might not in the movie. You might just press the button and plop them in. Not bad at all. Like I said, those do go into his little pouch, but from my understanding, it is a pain in the butt. So I will play around with that a little bit later. Onto the actual base. One of the other good things about this guy, you do have this really cool Starship Force front piece there. Really cool detailing on it. It is hard plastic. I believe it's just a standard crotch grabber that'll snap into there, which is fine. And then probably the most important part is going to be this awesome arachnid up here. Ooh, got an extra pouch. That might be for the knife. You might clip that onto the belt. Take a look at the instructions in a moment. I want to see this fella. Alright, this is going to take a little more work than I thought. Let's try this. Yeah. Balance test. Stands up pretty easy, so that's good. Alright, one thing I was kind of worried about was what the scale of this was going to actually be. I was concerned he was going to be way smaller than it should have been. Definitely not way smaller. I do have to put all of his legs on and such. I'm dumb and I drop things. We'll get to see how well it takes a beating. That's a plus. Alright. May have broken him. Nope, that looks like it's battle damage. Hooray. He has been shot to heck, which is cool. I feel like they are a lot bigger in the movie, though. Maybe not. But you'll be able to sprawl out his legs and have him standing on his upside-down corpse or upright, any way, shape, or form you want. Hopefully you don't drop him. Definitely don't recommend it. It did survive the fall, which is good. So props to that. Let's see how easy these legs click on in here. It looks like they just plop right in, so I imagine it's going to be relatively straightforward and simple. But you never know. Now, if you were wondering, all of the legs for him are in a separate compartment underneath, so it is going to take a moment to dig them all out. But as I'm getting these out, I'm starting to realize that he is going to be a pretty good size. Yeah, he's going to be pretty big. Yeah, he's a big fella. Okay. And I can clearly see that those instructions are going to be necessary. So let's take a fast look at those. Hopefully it'll also let me see what's going on with that gun. Because I am just very confused as to why that magazine won't stay in there. Maybe that's one of the extra ones and there's only one that's really designed to fit. But we will find out momentarily. Alright, so there is no instructions on the gun itself. So bloop, bloop. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick pause just to snap all this guy together. And then we will, the heck with it. Let's just do it now. That way, if it's overly difficult, you'll get to experience it as well. Alright, so kablam, not too hard. Now, I was dumb, as per usual. I don't think they actually had any specific left or right markings on them, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. And already we are off to a bad start. I feel like that's right. Somebody's going to watch this and be like, dude, you're so stupid. Which is correct, but it's kind of beside the point. This little guy for up here. Big long ones. Definitely not. That was easy. I feel like this one goes in here. Wait a minute. They have numbers. If you can read it. This one's 5. I wish I would have paid attention the first time. Where does 5 go? 5 goes back here. Okay. 5 into the 5 spot. That doesn't seem right. Clearly, I am not very good at this. And they do have magnets on them, but they are not completely helpful. Okay, so the magnets are incredibly helpful. It's just a matter of getting them into the right spot, and then they hold on perfectly. Is this one really up here? That seems weird. It just doesn't make no sense. I guess so. I should probably just fast forward through all of this, and I'm kind of hoping you are, because it's a whole lot of quiet boringness right there, but I've been in the zone. We're making progress. We're almost done. And this creepy little front leg thingy goes up there. I think this is the last one. Which goes up there. Alright. Took probably more effort than it should have. Again, I'm stupid. I'm hopefully not going to drop him this time. I should probably do 2 hands. But he is definitely large and in charge. So comparatively, I'll go ahead and kind of plop you down like that. Probably a bit smaller than what they would have been in the movie, I still feel, but pretty spot on for the most part. Definitely gonna have some fun with that, I think. So really, the only thing now that I'm gonna try and figure out is this gun. Let's see if a different magazine does the trick. It does not. There's got to be some way to hook them in. That's kind of the only issue that I'm having. But whatever it is, I cannot figure it out. Yeah, it's really mind-boggling to me at this point. Try another one. So there's not anything that really holds it in per se. And at first I was thinking maybe a magnet or something, but there is not. Yeah, they just pop right out. Also, apparently, this just dehooks very easily, which I guess is not too big of a deal because it just clips on right there. But definitely concerned about the magazine. I almost feel that this may be broken. So if you look at, it's really hard to tell. There we go. That's a complete loop on this side. But then on this side, get a good angle, maybe. Yeah, that side is a little open. Probably just have to bend that in place. That I'm not too worried about. More concerned about the magazine not staying in. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I will, if I can figure it out. There's no other moving components to it or anything. If I can figure it out, I'll post a little mention in the comments below, but this is honestly one thing I would be weary about if you're getting the figure, is I might end up just putting sticky tack on that just to keep it in place, which I hate saying, but I feel like there should just, maybe I have to move something in there. It's not really a way to do it, though. So who knows? We'll kind of play around with that. Also, I do worry a little bit about the helmet. Just because I think that's going to be kind of tricky to actually get on him. I was hoping that maybe I could move that little pin in there with the knife, but no such luck. That's definitely strange. But like I said, if I can figure it out, I will let you know. Otherwise, just be warned that this might not stay in very well. And then also, terrible quality knife. Not a great looking face sculpt. I think those are pretty much the big things. I am kind of worried about putting the helmet on and off the head. It does have foam in there, which is good, but I just worry it's gonna damage him in the long run. And honestly, I don't care too much about the head sculpt, so we can at least pop it on real quick and see what it looks like. It did actually slide on real easy. Definitely easier than I thought. And it honestly looks pretty good on him. So that's a plus. I mean, the figure is really cool. Definitely a neat one. If you are interested, like I said, you can get them 1/6 Outfitters. You can also, I think, find them at Giant Toys still. They might be out of stock there, but I know a bunch of places have them, and you can also, of course, do the usual eBay and Amazon, all that other good stuff. This video went way, way longer than I expected, so if you did stick around, thank you very, 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 very much. That heart's for you. We will see you all next time.